Hello and welcome everybody to the Buddhist Recovery Network Academy. I am Susanna and I'm joining you from Helsinki, Finland, and I will be your host today. I'm a big fan of Buddhism recovery and Buddhist recovery. I facilitate both 8-step recovery meetings and mindfulness-based addiction recovery courses here in Finland. And I'm also a member of the board of the Buddhist Recovery Network. And we have our tech tonight is Stu. So Stu is also from the Buddhist Recovery Network. And our this month's Academy teaching is offered by Cano. And thanks for everyone for being here and part of our community today. And the pronouns for Carol are she and her. And a few words about Dana. So all of our teachings are given freely, and we are blessed with some amazing teachers who have experience on the cushion, experience working with body, speech, and mind, experience in the ongoing practice of recovery by the way of Dharma. As we practice the Buddha's teaching of generosity, we invite you to give Dana that will be given to support our ongoing Buddhist Recovery Network meetings and to support the teacher. You can give on a one-time or recurring basis using the link posted in the chat field. Please be sure to indicate that your donation is for the Academy, and we sincerely thank you for your generosity already now. And if you forget to put there that it's for the Academy, we direct these donations that come during this session and right after to the Academy as well. So no need to worry. And then it is my honor to present our guest teacher, Carol Cano, MA. Began her practice over 30 years ago at Wat Gov Tham in Thailand and has actively engaged in building communities and teaching Dharma internationally. She has completed a myriad of training programs at Spirit Rock Meditation Center and is currently participating in their retreat teacher training. Carol is a core teacher and was a former board member of East Bay Meditation Center. Carol co-founded Philippine Insight Meditation Community in Philippines. Her unique teachings are deeply grounded in Basque, Native American, and Buddhist influences that braid the Dharma along indigenous wisdom and earth-based practices. Carol reminds us to keep grounded in our hearts as we uphold spiritual ideals and encourages us to remain balanced within the demands of modern life. So welcome, Carol. It's a pleasure to have you with us again. And we are going to spotlight you, and you are ready to go. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I also want to say I've graduated already, thank goodness. Let me just change to gallery view on my end. Thank you. And so it's wonderful to be here today. This topic is, recovering our hearts during these distressing times. And really, it's really a time to really point towards our practice, an opportunity to deepen our practice and with ourselves and with our community, and taking and how we take our practice and take it off the cushion. And so, the next piece is engage it with our lives and our values and what we call Buddhism, mindfulness in action. So I would like to start with the meditation. We're going to do 15 minutes. I'm going to have some guided. I'll get some space of working with difficult emotions. So just pick a very comfortable position that supports you, to really supports the cultivation of stillness of your body. And if you like, if your eyes are open, please look down and just have a soft gaze. And if you work with your eyes wide open, you can turn away from the camera if you like, and pick a place that is comfortable for you to work with. Other than that, you can keep your eyes closed Take a few deep breaths. Really to soften your belly, connecting with the breath and the body. And in this moment, you can really check in with your body and locate parts of your body where you may be feeling some sensation of discomfort. And really just connecting with your body. How is it feeling in this moment? Is there a sense of pleasant or safe or ease? Or neither of that? Just notice. And just let your attention come to a pleasant part of your body, whether it's the hands or feet, or maybe it's a neutral feeling. It's neither pleasant nor bad, or the word I would use is unpleasant. And let your attention just rest there. Feel it, sense it, notice what those sensations are. I like to invite a mind that's curious, open, alert, yet relaxed. And just allow yourself to relax a little or just sink into this moment of stillness. Now, notice if there's something happening within you, something difficult, maybe a difficult emotion. 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 Or it could be physical sensations, a little ache and pain, maybe your shoulder or back or knee. Just notice. You can, if you feel resource within yourself, to allow your attention to go to be with these aches and pains or difficult emotion that may be present. Just a little, not dive completely into this emotion if it's difficult, just bringing your attention, your kind attention, that it's present, it's here, sense of acknowledgement. What's here? And you maybe even feel a sense of sadness or anxiety or anger. Again, we're just bringing our attention and acknowledging what's here, just touching it, not going deeply in it, but just acknowledging what's here. And notice where you feel sensations connected with these difficult emotions in your body. Where do you feel these emotions in your body? Just notice it, one moment at a time. And as you're doing this, connect with the breath every so often, bringing your attention to the breath, maybe even returning to it. And allow the breath to just soften the body, the belly, creating a sense of ease in this moment. And if you feel potentially overwhelmed by any of this difficult emotions, just return your attention to a part of your body that wasn't necessarily pleasant or unpleasant, but neutral. It could be the hands or feet. Kind of bringing you back to the body in this moment. resting on that, easing yourself into the body. Then you may notice some energy rising through your body, moving through your chest or belly. Just allowing it to be there, not pushing it away or denying it. Just being with. Just work with that for a few seconds of silence. During these moments of silence, we feel water, the water element arising, corner of my eyes, tears flowing, tenderness, the heart. Just staying with what's present, with this quality of mind, aware, alert, open, non-judging mind, this spacious awareness. Noticing the rhythm of your breath, if it's relaxing, just this. When I say that, it's just this flow of breath. You're not pushing nor denying the rhythm of the breath, just letting it be, bringing in a sense of kindness towards yourself in this moment, acknowledging maybe physical pain or emotional pain. Really truly holding yourself with this kindness. And you may take a last few deep breaths just to bring you back again to this moment of when we were opening, but now we're coming to a close, this meditation session. Acknowledging this body holding you up, this moment, with what's here. Maybe having a moment of being free of the sensations that were unpleasant. And when you're ready, you can come back, open your eyes, take a few seconds just to really acknowledge we're now coming to a close with this meditation session. You're welcome to join us in the collective with your eyes open. Great. So I like to bring in Dominanta Bhikkhuni, who is what you would consider a female monk, a bhikkhuni, and in Thailand, and a really incredible social activist, and especially for women ordaining, and her mother, she was also the first who really fought the good fight for that, for ordination for the nuns. So the greater the challenge, the greater the fire. And the greater the fire, the greater the purification. While external liberation may not be possible in our lifetime, our internal liberation is not dependent on it. And that's pretty much, my topic for today. Is just really, pointing back towards our practice during these times. For many of us, we could feel so many emotions arise and so much engagement, and that it would be very hard to, the first thing left is the most important thing that we love, which is our practice. For many of us, this is our practice that's been a lifeline to even be here, and a refuge for peace in ourselves, that we have touch freedom. Everyone knows this here. You have touch freedom when you have, another day of not being in the realm of the hungry ghost with addiction. And so, but we know that we have to build the momentum and keep practicing, keep it sharp, and that it has a direct line to us, that we can cultivate peace within our mind and our body and our lives with others. And it's something that we have to relearn and practice over and over and over, for sure. I know that one. And each meditation, as you all know, is not the same. And each day is not the same. And so so I just want to bring in the words of Thich Nhat Hanh and really, calling our attention to our community at this time. And the late beloved Thich Nhat Hanh, which I just, right now, his words have really impacted my practice and where we are today. The world's on fire. There are moments of us on fire. Where are we? We're reassessing our level of engagement or disengagement without judgment, just noticing. And he calls our attention inward during these times. Action should not be based on the foundation of being. If you don't have enough peace, understanding, and tolerance, or if you're burdened by anger and anxiety, your actions will have little value. And so the quality of attention depends on the quality of being. We're not going to go, I don't know about you, we all have, you can raise your hand or your emoji hand. We all have relatives that know how to push that button, right? Are we going to go to them in times of needing peace? Think about it. For me, I cultivated this practice on the cushion so I can return to myself for that cultivation of being in peace in my mind, body, and heart. There was no one else going to do that for me. And that's where, for over 30 something years, I never left the cushion, nor I've never left the Buddha Dharma. The Buddha's teaching was medicine for my being. And really deeply healed many parts of myself, let alone recognizing that there was intergenerational trauma to heal too. And it was a real realization when I realized that and thought, wow, this is never going to end. It's a lifetime of healing. And I take that and bring that here because we bring in our attention to the heart, to our own hearts, to what has heart and meaning in our own lives. And also, just I'm looking outside my window right now and just recognizing, I braid indigenous wisdom and Buddha Dharma because I don't leave my ancestral culture out. And so for me, the wisdom of indigenous is earth-based, that nature is a beautiful mirror to mirror what lies within myself while I'm in nature, whether it's a walk or I meditate or, take retreat in nature or do a ritual in nature of some kind of honoring my ancestors. And for Native American people, all my relations is the context, all a relative. And so, when we think of the heart, when I think of, how do I repair my heart in times of the fall season, nature showing us that it's in transition, that the weather's changing. We directly were impacted with some time changes. We got more sleep. I was really happy about that. And we notice that the leaves are falling, the colors are changing. It's, winters, for many of us have arrived, and for some who are in different parts of the world, it's still summer, and they may have only 2 seasons. I have a big Filipino community, so there's only 2 seasons. They remind me dry and wet. It's always warm, so we work with that, we work with, noticing the subtleties of change in nature and the extreme aspects of nature, noticing that and noticing that within ourselves. It's a great way of tracking. It's a great way that another word would be investigating. That's what this practice does, is investigates. And so we're really noticing what parts of ourselves need to fall away, just like the leaves off a tree. And then you see those leaves that are still holding on to dear life. For me, they're a direct mirror of what parts of my shadow self are holding on to dear life. The shadow self based on an ego perspective, holding on to dear life. The shadow self for me reflecting on what held on to addiction at one point in my life. The shadow self of, so what parts are holding on, because the ego will hold on for dear life, fighting tooth and nail. Because this work is not easy. Being with self, cultivating peace and healing, looking at what's here, investigating the truth of it, what reconciliation we need to do, what's incomplete in our lives, incomplete relationships, what was not taken care of or said to people we loved or hurt. And so, for me, attention to noticing the trees of letting go. And from a Buddha Dharma perspective, letting go is not something like you just drop it and deny it. It's a place for practice. Letting go is understanding what it takes to do that, to having honorable closure, to meeting tension with people we love, to say what is so, to acknowledging those parts of ourselves that we don't want to even welcome or claim. And we are coming to that part of ourselves, and we need to, have a reckoning in those moments. That's what this cushion is. It's not for a faint heart. It's for a courageous heart to be in the cushion daily and to be with ourselves and to notice what's here and to cultivate a stable, peaceful mind, a heart that's clear, open, full, strong. As my late beloved teacher, Angeles Aaron, would say, it really is this four-chambered heart. Because when we have a clear heart, we're no longer confused or have doubt. When we have an open heart, we are no longer defensive or resistant or protecting ourselves from getting hurt. When we have a full heart, we're no longer half-hearted and being in places that we don't want to be in or doing things that we don't want to do. Wrong placement is what she would call it. All those times that we say yes, but we mean no in our being. And when we have a strong heart, we're no longer weak-hearted. Weak-hearted is a sign of lacking courage, lacking the authenticity, of not speaking one's truth. All of this behavior feeds this false self-system. So coming into this, for me, the Buddha Dharma is a cultivation of authenticity, aligning oneself to the sacred self. As the Four Noble Truths points to how to do that, gives a really good map. And that's why with the practice this morning, with the meditating with difficult emotions, it was so important to, are we making space to just be still enough to know what is uncomfortable, what is unpleasant, but in a way where the mind is not taking over manufacturing too much for us. It's an embodied understanding. We stop and we create a practice of dropping in and being able to recognize what's here and to be with it. And like this morning, we were just like, okay, just acknowledge it just a little. We don't have to throw ourselves completely in the difficult emotion, but we can acknowledge it being here. Because when we don't acknowledge, we start getting into the realm of denying it. And we start feeding that false self system. And that feeding that false self system is feeding that little hungry ghost. And so this practice is really important to align in ourselves that we have here what it takes to be with, moment by moment, little by little. And I would suggest never do it alone. That's one thing that I love from Jack's teaching. One of his students had said, yes, the difficulties of the mind. I'm just gonna, paraphrase because I can't remember the exact quote, but it's just like the mind is a place to not trust, basically, to go in alone, especially when we're under complete distress or we're taken by that false self system, that shadow side of self. And or we're taken by anger and we allow the anger to direct our lives, and the anger could be related to revenge, cycle of revenge, cycle of hurt. We're seeing this on a greater scale in the world right now. And so it's participating in aligning with the sense of violence within the war, as Jack would say in his Path of Heart book. That was one of the books that really was like a Bible to me when I came back from living in Southeast Asia. And I read Jack's book. I first had to meet him because who wrote this book? But it was really, he really spoke to it in a way that, stopping the war within myself. So I know time goes by so fast here, and I want to leave room for Q&A, and I want to, really drop into, there's this, practice that I love from my really good friend and teacher, Larry Yang. His practice of metta. It's so beautiful. And when I say metta, I'm really referring to it as kindness, friendliness, goodwill. That's the translation of it that I adhere to, and many others, if there's different translations. So in his practice, he says, may I be loving, open, aware in this moment. And if I cannot be loving, open, and aware in this moment, may I be kind. And if I cannot be kind, may I be non-judgmental. And if I cannot be non-judgmental, may I not cause harm. And if I cannot cause harm, may I cause the least harm possible. I'd like to leave you with that practice. And, to meet oneself with, that kindness and compassion when you come to the cushion, and strengthen these practice so that you can purify your heart and your mind. And by doing so and connecting to the body in such a way where it can self-regulate, and maybe we can touch freedom a little and know what it's like to have a stable mind, a mind rooted in the body, a body rooted in here and now, and not denying it, and just taking it one step at a time, one breath at a time, one cushion practice at a time, even. So, yes, I'd like to close there and open for questions if you like. And I do want to have one poem at the end. So I'm kind of hoping that we can do that.
Thank you, Carol. And yeah, I had to change the computer. My internet is going up and down, unfortunately. But what I heard was beautiful. And thanks for the meditation as well. And I would like to open the Q&A, so you can either raise hand, wave your hand, or type your question to the chat. And please send your questions to everyone so that they can be seen, unless you want to ask anonymously when you send your question directly to me or to Carol. And if your name is called, you will be coming live to ask your question. Then you can open your mic. Unfortunately, sometimes it happens that we don't have time for all the questions. So we will start wrapping up about 5:02. And like Carol said, she also has the poem to the end. So we will take that into consideration as well. And thanks for respecting the time. And I don't know if you noticed, Carol, but there are questions in the chat that source of the Metta quote, and then the book title.
Yeah. Okay. I could put the book title now. It may take me a minute to, maybe I can give the Larry Yang Metta phrase to you. Is that okay? You could pass it to, is there a resource place to drop that in? Is my question.
We can put it to the YouTube, like when there's the comments in the YouTube, so we can put it there. So that's a special note for Calico, who's going to take care of the video. Right. So we have whole team. Yes. So if you have questions, please. Just a moment, I will check the chat. Yeah, I was thinking that you referred to this sort of trauma. It was it over generational trauma or
intergenerational?
Yeah, would you please open the, what you mean by that term, because not everybody necessarily understands what it means.
Well, I mean, as I've been on this path a long time, to what brought me to the cushion in the first place was a very angst teenager. And then it was through my first decade of being in the cushion that I learned, like all the family conditions that come in as a child. I had a very turbulent family with an alcoholic father, and there was violence in the home. And so I had to really be with that and do my own healing. And addiction came, a little later, and it wasn't very long. I consider myself recovered from heroin addiction in my early 20s. And then because, the medicine has been the Dharma, I've not left it. And that's been my ongoing practice. It's never stopped. And also the Red Road. And what I mean by intergenerational is that once you start doing your own work, it's hard to separate the conditionality of family and culture. And then when you come from, a culture that's had extreme trauma as a whole people, it's also present from one generation to another. It's hard to separate self from that. So then there's more work. So I just want to simplify it in that way. We can look up the term intergenerational in Google and look at it that way, but in just a more personalized way of realizing that, I come from an oppressed people and an oppressor, because I identify mixed race. So there was a lot to reckon there. And the oppressed side and the indigenous part of me, stolen land, treaties being broken, and it's still happening today. It's an ongoing work in progress. And colonization has really harmed my lineage, harmed my family directly. And so those are healings, a healing that I didn't account it for in my earlier years that I had to also do. And so decolonizing the mind is really important. I once had the late Malidoma Somé, who is a West African, I consider him a medicine man. He was a medicine man. He was incredible seer, incredible speaker. And he's like, liberate your mind and decolonize your spirit. And I was like, shit, are you serious? I didn't even think that it could be, if you think of Buddha's cosmetology, there's karma. So if you think about how many lifetimes we could read about the 500 years of Buddha before he came, the Buddha, the Buddha in the making, so when you think of all, it was just like, holy crap, this colonization goes way beyond this for me, this being. So that just kind of threw me a loop. But it shows you how deep this is. And then we can see it played out right now, and how deep trauma, the cycle of trauma and violence is, and how far it goes back. And with whole peoples fighting each other, not just our own fight within or our own family. So, so the last I'll say about that is we have invited a Maui speaker to come at Braided Wisdom, and she's using indigenization, meaning she explains it as we go on the path of decolonizing ourselves, we're actually still centering the colonizer. And what the re-indigenizing is to center the indigenous. And there's not any of us that doesn't have an origin of a culture. We all, if we were to look, whiteness is not a culture. It's European. Where? Oh, Irish, got it. Old culture, indigenous culture. So there's an investigation there. And we point at Braided Wisdom, even for our white body relatives, to point them to start going towards their lineage and recovering it and healing it and connecting with it. There's a lot of healing. So I can go on. It's a teaching in that in itself. But it's wonderful. I love this conversation. Well, it's not a conversation.
Yes.
We can talk about this all the time.
Thanks you, Carol. And I think that, there is this sort of kind of like compassion in understanding that, that the trauma travels through generations. So this understanding and compassion also comes with that. And
okay, so I have this from this Lebanese poet called "The River Cannot Go Back," and I will put his name, Kahali Gabarn. I hope I didn't say that butchered it too much, but I'll put it in the chat. It is said that before entering the sea, a river trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled from the peak of the mountain, the long, windy road crossing forests and village. And in front of her, she sees an ocean so vast that to enter, there seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is no other way. Nobody can go back. To go back is impossible in existence. The river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean, because only then will fear disappear, because that's where the river will know it's not about disappearing into the ocean, but becoming the ocean. So I thought that was appropriate when I was talking about the shadow self and the ego that fights for dear life. And does it understand where it's moving towards. So yes, I leave you with that. And I'll just write the title on the chat. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Carol. It was such a powerful teaching, and the poem at the end, wow, that was beautiful. So a few words about Donna. So your generosity can help to strengthen the recovery community and to grow the academy, and can be a practical expression of gratitude and metta. So we invite you to practice generosity and to give Dana in support of these teachings, to be shared with our teacher and with the Buddhist Recovery Network. And there will be a link in the chat that will take you to BRN website. And please, if you remember, indicate that your gift is for the Academy. There are also some other links in the chat that Stu has kindly posted there. I have to remind you that if you come to the Facebook group, please answer the membership questions to join, because there are right now a lot of people lined up and they haven't answered the questions. So if you want to make the process fast, then just answer the questions. So our next BRN Academy event is on Sunday, December the 3rd. It's going to be with Walt Opie. And there is also a weekly Buddhist recovery meeting. The type of the meeting changes weekly, so you can check the schedule on the webpage using the link that is in the chat as well. And we will keep the room open for a few moments for you to copy the links. And we will wrap up with the transference of merits, the Buddhist Recovery Network Academy style. So thank you for joining us today. May the merit we have gained go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings. May we all be happy. May we all be peaceful. May we all be safe. Thank you.